more of the impact that I leave behind rather than how popular I become.
Talking about impact, my last question.
Yes.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Talking generally, I would want to be, like I see myself in a position whereby I would be able to impact more youths, not only in my local area, but definitely at a larger scale, nationally and globally. And also, apart from that, I would really want to empower other youths, or actually assisting other youths, in the sense that they know themselves, like them understanding themselves and building themselves up in their own capacity, in their own abilities, and assisting them to get into the places that they would yearn to get into. So for me,
hello guys, welcome back to Brown Million Podcast, where we talk about mindset, we talk about financial literacy, we talk about leadership, and also we talk about personal transformation and growth. It's an honor today to have Aisha Ali. You know, she's one type of a woman that you don't see on a daily basis. She's built different. She has a different story. And that's what we are going to learn today. It's all about learning from her. How has she built the way she has been built? And also, we're going to see some of the different levels that she has been able to achieve. What did she do differently from the rest of the ladies out here? So, Aisha Ali,
yes,
please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and all that.
Okay. I'm Aisha Ali. I'm a first-year student at Kwani University. What I do quite a lot. So first of all, I'm a program officer at Youth Day Initiative. It's a CBO, right here in Kilifi County. I'm also a PES fellow. And at the moment, I'm also a World Fellow as an SRHR champion, representing the Kenyan youth on a global stage.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for that. She's a first year, but doing quite a lot. Let me say that. That's a lot. How do you manage to do all that? How do you manage to do that?
Okay, so in terms of it's a lot and how we manage to do that, I appreciate the fact that I'm a student. I have classes to do, and sometimes all these there are some points clash. But I always say where there's a will, there will always be a way. As long as you have the why to doing something, you'll always find a balance in doing everything.
All right. Thank you so much about that. But let me understand you from this perspective. I just know you as Aisha because we met tulipatana in a situation that was so sketchy in a way. Help me understand. Who are you? Who are you, Aisha?
Okay, so that's interesting. But the main motive behind doing whatever I'm doing, I simply want to change the game in terms of leadership. The perception that people have every time a leader is mentioned. We met with Brian as I was actually campaigning for a political post right here in school. I wanted to be an academic delegate in my school. And so I met him at their hostels, and trying to campaign and telling him what I'm able to do. So, starting with the political part, or just leadership generally, many people think of leadership as that dictatorship role, whereby you have to rule people, you have to more of tell people or impose your ideas on people. But for me, I use a different approach. It's more of what can you enhance in people? How are you able to bring out the best out of people. And for me, leadership is not all about being in a higher position to others. It is that place of interacting with people, improving yourself, even as you improve them. So basically that has been my main motivation. And also the urge to be different, the urge to do differently. Right now, the Kenyan system in terms of education, people will judge you, or they will they will judge your capabilities and abilities depending on, are you a first year, are you a second year, have you done masters or PhDs, not necessarily the experiences. And I really wanted to change that narrative in terms of, even though I might be a first year in university, but I still have a chance to bring in change. Considering the whole system right now, the average Kenyan youth will actually venture into something constructive, maybe after they have graduated, after they have gotten their first degree. Or still, some will say, there's nothing I can do having a first degree, so they will go ahead having masters and PhDs, which is not wrong studying, yes. But I really want maybe the youth, any youth that can hear me right now, like them understanding that you are in a position to make an impact, whether in a small scale or a large scale, as long as you have the willingness to do it.
Right. Thank you so much. You've mentioned about the willingness.
Yeah.
Help me understand your why. Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
First of all, stepping out, doing all this as a program officer and everything I've been doing, it hasn't been that easy. Considering the whole system, the system favors people who have done something or who have something, in terms of, do you have maybe money, in terms of how educated are you know. So for me, it was more of getting out of my comfort zone. I wanted to understand, who am I, you know. Yeah, because for me, I have that gut feeling of, you can do better than this. You know, maybe by me stepping out, it might be a way of another youth finding a path into their own destiny. More of them understanding themselves. For example, in many of my engagements, I engage with the youths and maybe mostly kids. So to me, it was more of showing them that actually you can do something constructive in your life, other than partying, other than doing everything that the average youth can do. You can still do something constructive with your life. I will give an example of the World Fellowship on SRHR. It wasn't something that I dreamt of having it, but I was like, just give it a try. It's a normal application. We're actually on the same platform, whether it's another founder in Nigeria, a managing director in Australia, or just anywhere in the world. For me, I said we are on the same platform. If we can engage, actually we can engage on the same basis. Then if I'm better off, I'll be picked. So I did my application, I did my impact videos and all that, and I managed to be picked among other women globally. Thank you. So I get into that platform, and I realized I was one of the youngest, and youngest in terms of experience. You're in a platform where you're interacting with founder of this, founder of that, Instead of me feeling belittled, it opened up my eyes to see that it isn't about what have I done, but what can you do with the small that you have.
Thank you so much for that. The reason as to why I mentioned earlier that she's a woman or a lady, that she has a very different mind, is because she has entered into spaces not people with just some small minds can dare to enter. It takes audacity, it takes courage to enter into spaces where you feel like you're out-experienced, or over-experienced, or unexperienced. But Aisha Ali is an epitome of people who have courage, people who have the idea of what they want. But help me understand the type of mindset that drives you.
Okay, I wouldn't say I know exactly everything that I want, For me, I have a rough. Okay, it's more of a rough idea of what I want. You know, I want to bring in change. Basically, that's my main drive. I want to rise beyond the status quo because there are limits that the society, families, this like every system has set. And now breaking forth out of these systems, sometimes you have to. It's more of make an extra effort. You know? So my approach is give it a try. You know, I always tell myself I'm not overconfident, but I'm confident with the small, like with the little skills, the little knowledge that I have. I will use my confidence to make sure that whatever I have, which impacts someone else. At least if I'm able to impact one more person, one more youth, that's a plus one for me. Even as I wait maybe to have more experience and go along the way. Like it will be useless if I would wait for 30 years to come impact 10 people. Rather than maybe in my baby steps, one step at a time, in every step I would impact one person or two. You know.
Thank you for that. I appreciate what you're doing and just keep putting in the work. My next question would be, how has your leadership journey been? Because you mentioned to me earlier on that you had participated in some leadership roles early in your life, and how has your leadership been?
My leadership journey has been quite interesting.
All right.
Yeah, because growing up, I'm not that. I was an introvert basically. I feared spaces. I feared talking to people. I feared expressing my ideas and my views. In as much as I would feel like at least I can do this, but I had that fear. So I think for me the game changer was back in primary school. I guess I was in class 6.
Yeah.
So we had debate competitions in our school. And then my English teacher comes like, you know what, Aisha, you can do well in this. So for me, I was like, no. Me, crowds, not me. You know. But actually, I was forced to go in that platform. And in our first contest, I remember I was the last. Like I never managed to go to the next level. It was a bit disheartening for me. But you know, like my teacher comes and then she's like, you know what, you can do better than this. Just give it a try. So I feel that was a starting point for me speaking out my idea. I started going to those debate competitions and all that. So through my engagement in such activities, I was picked as a school captain in school. And that's how my leadership journey began. And now, you know, as an introvert at that time, there's a way you feel when somebody's trying to lead you, and you feel like they're not doing it right, but you're not in a position to tell them. So for me, leadership at that time, the perception I had, it was more of them enforcing their ideas, and I have to, whether I like it or not, work on it, you know. But for me, I wanted to be that leader, or I wanted to bring in change in such that I will be that leader that I'm not forcing people to do something, but allowing people to express, allowing people to align with my ideas willingly, while they know exactly, like they know maybe the benefits and all that. Because for me, I believe it's easier convincing someone to follow something that they see the benefits rather than being more of a dictator.
You've been mentioning about dictatorship every time. Have you ever experienced a dictatorship or experience or a leader before?
I would say yes. Okay, have you heard of bullies?
For sure, yeah.
So I think I wouldn't say I experienced it one-on-one, but it was more of a system. I remember one of the scariest things while I was transitioning from primary school to high school, it was bullying, like meeting bullies and all that. So for me, my idea was, if somebody, instead of somebody threatening you or doing something harsh or mean to you for you to do whatever they are doing, I feel like there could be a better approach, you know. And also in Kenyan schools especially, okay, depending on the depending on the school still, but still a bigger percentage of the school leadership in terms of student leadership, there was that ego, you know, you like people like the superiority complex. You want to feel you're higher than them. And if you've ever interacted with such a leader, you can get what I'm saying. So instead of you doing something willingly, you feel as if you're forced to do it, you know. And sometimes to some people, especially the introverts, I think that was the worst part of being in school or being under a given leadership.
Alright, thank you so much for that. So, did you take any step during that time to step up and maybe speak for yourself, speak for others, or what did you do at that time?
Okay, speaking for others, as you say, wasn't in my priority because I wasn't that outspoken during that time. So my approach was if I can do role playing, like I get into that space, and instead of me screaming, you can do this different, you can do this different, I'd rather get into that space and be a role model. Actually, we can do this without doing the way you're doing it. So that's how I ventured into the leadership roles, high school and all that. Yeah, and for me it was a plus. That's the greatest thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. You've entered into leadership.
Yeah.
How many systems, or did you take time to understand how systems are run and all that?
I appreciate the fact that I don't have much knowledge in terms of systems and all that. But in my interaction, like in the few positions I've held, what has worked for me is understanding everybody's potential, because people are different. The way I do my things is not the way that you prefer them done. You know. So for me, I wouldn't talk much about the system, but I would want to talk about my approach, even as I am with these systems. For me, it's more of understanding how do you prefer your work done? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? That I know, even as I am a leader, it's not like as I said, I'm in a place of influence, right? So I'm not forcing you to do what you're supposed to do. I'm influencing you to do what you're supposed to do, right? You know, that means as a leader, I'm more of a coordinator, not a ruler. Okay, like I'm coordinating the people that I'm with to do something, like, to achieve the end goal. You know, so if I am to know your strength and you knowing my strength and my weaknesses, I know that if I use this approach, it will work for him better, and it will also work for me better, and the end goal will be met. Yeah, so it's more of coordination rather than forcing people to do what you want done.
Okay.
Basically.
Nice one. Thank you so much for that. But help me understand what exposure has done to you.
Exposure. Okay, I think exposure is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. First of all, it's enabled me to get into spaces that I never thought of. It's enabled me to interact with people that have opened further doors to whatever I'm doing right now. And also in terms of exposure, I would really want whoever will get this message. Exposure does not come at your door knocking. Exposure, open the door for you. You have to step out. You have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to do something extra. And even as you're stepping out, you're not sure that everything that you're doing is going to work out. It's more of a guesswork. You're hoping, it's just hope. You're hoping for the best. But at least, as you hope, you're taking an action. And I always tell myself, the worst you can get is a no.
The worst you can get?
Yeah, is a no.
Elaborate on that kindly.
Okay, and even, basically, whether you get what you're looking for, it's still a win. Whether you get or not, it's still a win. when you get it, it's a win. When you miss it, it's still a win.
Yeah.
Simply because if I get it, let's say I want to get into a certain space. Let me give you an example of, or which one can I use? Maybe if it's a leadership, an example of when I was joining the NGO world. As I told you, it's just last year as a first year, and I did the application, did my shoddy email because I never done emails before. And like I'm applying for a volunteering position, but I still did it anyway. And I told myself, in this scenario, the worst feedback I can get is a regret. But still, there's an option of you learn, at least you know how to engage with them next time, or if another opportunity shows up. So it's still a win, you know. And the fact that you try, you might be written off maybe the first time, the second time, you know, again, it's more of you improving yourself, how you're engaging with emails, applications, and all that. So you might get 3 declines, but at least one. And maybe that one is the one that will open doors for the rest, or maybe for the others. So I always say, just keep on trying. Keep on trying, because this is how you grow. How will you grow if you're seated? You know, I like this, I like using this example. When a baby is born, everybody expects that's been grown. Everybody expects that at some point they'll start talking, at some point they'll start crawling, at some point they'll start, you know, taking the baby steps. And I remember somebody telling me, if a baby doesn't try, like the toddler doesn't try, they will ever remain crawling. Simply because the kid is fearing falling down on the ground again and again. You know, that's how, it's more of how you strengthen yourself. The kids stand up, you know, if it is the mom or dad, like come here, and then they take the first step and then they fall down. The parents will cheer up, then they stand up again. The reason because the parents are not focusing on my toddler has fallen down and he or she is on the ground. The fact that it's more of the kid is getting strengthening of their capacity to walk. Same way with us. You fail today, you try, you stand up, try again. That's how you're strengthening your muscles. So one day at a time, one step at a time, no hurries, just giving your best. You'll get there.
Get there for sure, that's true. Keep doing what you're doing, you know, like you show up every day. That's what Aisha Ali is trying to tell us today. But how do you navigate around failures and all that?
Okay. As a perfectionist,
Okay.
failure is not one of the best experiences. Being sincere, nobody will buy into the idea of failure.
Sure, that's true.
But again, failure has its own way of playing a role in success. Okay. I think again, the approach, or should I say, what you are exposed to. You know, we are in the digital era.
That's true,
You know, and most people do not post about their failures. You know, the celebrities that we follow, you know, our idols, quote unquote idols, and all that. They will always tell you that I have, maybe if it's property, you know, I have this kind of property, I'm doing this, I got this global platform and all that. But nobody will tell you of the nights they cried, you know. Nobody will tell you of the days they struggled, the days they doubted themselves. So as a youth, you tend to assume that the road to success is just, you know, you just wake up and then success is here.
That's true.
But we really have to understand that it's a process. And part of the process, failure is there. Okay. So it depends on how you take failure. If you're going to fail and weep over it and stop there, then you'll become a real failure. But if you're going to fail on something and still work on it, you're not a failure. I always tell myself I'm a work in progress. So depending on how you're going to pick yourself up, you're going to see it as a channel of improvement. It's going to work. Okay. But for him to see it as the end, it will be the end.
Nice one, nice one, actually. But I want all of us to relate around failures because we have all failed at some aspect of lives.
Yeah.
Could you kindly share with us, like maybe a certain type of opportunity that maybe you failed and it passed you just like that?
Certain type of opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, the level at which you consider failure, I think it also comes with your expectations, even as you have a certain approach.
Okay.
For example, you might be doing something as a failure from your end, but for me, it's not a failure. Let me give you a simple example of the Kenyan system. Some people will say getting a C plus in KCSE, that's failure. Other person, the definition of failure is if you get less than a B plus, it's a failure. Another person, if you get less than an A, is a failure.
Yeah.
So number one, what are your expectations even as you're engaging in this? Because again, if you have this expectation and you get a result under your below your expectation, that's a failure for you.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe from another person's perspective, you never got that A, you got a B plus, you're better off. Okay. So it comes with also, I would not say managing your expectations, but knowing how to handle your expectations. Okay. And I wouldn't say that everything has worked out for me perfectly. Okay. Even when you get into these spaces, you realize that there's a lot to learn. There's a long way to go.
Yeah.
So with every step comes its own challenges.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more of how do you manage this space you're in. Today I'm a student. Okay. So maybe when I speak of failure, I might be talking about my grades and all that.
Yeah.
So how do I manage the space that I am in? Next time I'll be at the workplace. Okay. Also there will be expectations maybe from my employer or as an employee.
Yeah.
If you don't meet the expectations, it will be viewed as failure. So for me, I wouldn't want to talk about failure. It is more of managing the space that you are in. Yeah, and in case you don't meet any expectation, we only say humans to error, and it applies everywhere.
That's true.
So just try. Okay, I have failed this time.
Yeah.
Again, a failure, it shows you on where are you supposed to improve. Okay, maybe I have failed in academics. It shows that I have a weak point in terms of academics. So that means I have gotten something to work on. So now I will focus maybe my energy or my effort on improving what is where there's a loophole, rather than maybe just finding a way of navigating around it.
Right. Nice one. But Aisha, you mentioned something profound about expectation, managing expectations and all that. I was actually thinking, because like the institution that we're in right now doesn't allow first years who don't have like their grades and all that. I was actually thinking that was a failure too. But man, this is the reason as to why I say this lady has a certain type of mindset, a certain type of mind that it's built different.
Yeah.
But let me come back to your leadership role.
Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself running again in this institution?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes.
Love that. Confident. Wow.
Definitely.
Definitely.
As you mentioned,
Yeah.
I think it was a bit disheartening. You just sleep knowing that I'm on this stress.
Yeah.
Then you wake up like all first years you're disqualified simply because you do not have the academic results.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate that it's in the constitution, of which again I view it as a gap in the constitution. It is a place where maybe anybody who will venture into that space in terms of reviewing the constitution, they can check on that. I never expected to be that way, because for me, I advocate for equity and fairness. So to me, if any first year is eligible
Yeah.
and has the capacity to hold that position, why should they be given a chance?
That's true.
You know,
That's true, yeah.
yeah, it was okay. It's a failure and still a win, depending on how you're going to view it.
How is it a win? How is it a win?
Depending on how you're going to view it, exactly.
Okay, how do you view it as a win?
It's a win because I'm a first year. Okay. Right now, as I walk around the schools, around the school, most people think I'm either a second year or a third year, simply because I'm in a position where I've interacted with people. I've interacted with 4 years, third years, 7 years, and first years. Okay. So it's a win because even if I'm to come back next time, I have a ground.
So actually, you're talking to me about the way that you've built the ground, and like you already know people that are running the systems, because some things are run by people. Yeah. How have you positioned yourself to ensure that in time to come or in future you're going to get into those leadership positions?
I always say there's no leader without people. Okay, so for you to be a leader, there have to be people that you are supposed to lead or influence. So, okay, when you talk about getting into leadership through maybe knowing somebody or systems, at some point it may look as, it's more of going through the back door. And I don't think I would want that, because, yeah. For me, I'm formed a rapport with the people, not in a manipulative way, but it's more of showing them this is my capability, this is how far I can go, this is what I can bring to the table. And according to them, is it an idea that they can buy from me? Okay, it's more of, do they consider me as a leader, or can they put me in that position to lead me? And it's way easier being a leader when people can buy into your ideas rather than finding a way of forcing yourself into leadership. So I'm not in any way going to force myself into leadership. I will more of sell off my credibility to them and tell them this is me, this is Aisha, this is how far I can go, this is what I will bring to the table. And for me, I don't think if in any way a person can decline something positive, something that can be positive to them. So to me, I depend on the goodwill of the people rather than the people already in the system.
Nice one. You've mentioned about like you won't force yourself into the spaces.
Yes.
But how are you positioning yourself? Or rather, let me put it in this way: how will you influence people? Because leadership is all about influence. How are you going to influence people, like to see like your capability?
Okay, there are different ways to do that. Of which the first thing is I have my social media handles. I have my LinkedIn account, maybe my Instagram account, of which people can clearly see what you do. Okay. Apart from that, even in my approach, as I try to maybe get into leadership spaces, I always try to ensure that the people know who I am, what do I do, or my track record. Okay. And as I say, it's not the first time I'm getting into a leadership space. I've been there and I'm still there as a leader. So if you can show people that this is my track record, this is what I've been doing, and this is what I've been able to achieve, it becomes way easier. Let me give you an example. For me, getting into the leadership space in school, it's a better approach for me, telling maybe the people an approach that I'm a leader or I'm a program officer at Youth Day Initiative, and this is what I've been doing. I have this track record. I've done this and this and this, and maybe in a way this will be my input once I'm in this leadership role. It's way easier than coming to manipulate them with, let's say, money or something. So for me, I just ensure that people understand who I am, like the uniqueness that I have.
That's true. Have you read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership?
I'm yet to.
Do you read books?
Yes, I do.
Should I recommend a book?
Yes, please.
The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Like I was actually thinking of read that book because the certain key values that makes someone a key leader. And one is what we call character. We have ability. We have relationships. We have and all that. It's a lot. Maybe around 7 key principles that make one a leader. Go read that book. And I don't know if I'm a prophet or something, but you're going to be one hello for lack of a better word. You're going to become a good leader. That book can develop your leadership skills. It can build you. Learn from that book. All right, Aisha. Help me understand. You're networking. You're first year. You are challenging me. Because you're first year, but what you've managed to build around you, the network. Do you believe that your network is your network?
Yes, I do.
How has your network become your network?
So generally, I believe that the people you interact with on a daily basis will shape the person you become. Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of finding your network, that will be a network.
Yeah.
It's easy and it's a bit complex at the same time. Considering the dynamics right now, people think, oh, for me to reach that person in that space, I have something to offer so that it can be a give and take sort of which it's not false, it's true.
Yeah.
But now we are limiting ourselves in terms of, let me give you an example. When I was a first year, and I actually wanted to venture into these spaces, I never had prior experiences, but I wanted to get into that space,
Okay.
So for me, I always tell myself, for you to find your network, which will later on be your network, or at that point be your network, you can use 2 approaches. Okay. There's that point whereby you give your value, like what value are you bringing on the table? And the second way that actually has worked for me is being willing to learn from the people who are in those spaces. Okay, because like let's say like right now we have people in those spaces, they are getting old. Okay, the system will not always favor them. It will reach a point they have to exit the space. They're expecting that there will be people for them to hand over to. And it's not like they are selfish, them passing over the information, but nobody has ever strategically put themselves in that position that it will be easier for them to hand over what they have. Okay? So if you're willing to learn, if you expose yourself in a space whereby they can easily reach out to you and pass over the information, it's very easy for you to get into these spaces.
It's very easy to get into those spaces. About networking, there's this certain aspect I don't really understand. How do you network and like you network with people, but still you won't feel like you're begging or something? Yeah.
Exactly. So in terms of begging, again it comes with understanding yourself. Okay. For example, which example can I give? I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. I know the demand of each and every space. Okay. There's a space which will demand that you should be outspoken. Okay. For example, maybe outspoken. And maybe I'm not in that capacity. So if I really want to get into that space, I will have to know how to deal with my weaknesses. Okay. And also, even as you're going in there, understand your value. I may not have the prior experiences, but I have something to offer in your space. Okay, maybe I never had the opportunity to engage in a leadership role in a higher capacity, at a higher capacity, but at least I've been able to lead that class. You know, I was able to lead maybe a school, and now you want me to be a managing director in a given company. So it's not like I'm starting from zero. It's more of I'm enhancing my skills. Are you getting? So again, it also comes back to, are you working on yourself? Because again, you'll not be bargaining from zero. You know, you're bargaining from, at least you have something, even though it's at a small scale, but you still have something. Now the work that you have to do is enhancing it. Again, it's hard getting into these spaces if you're starting from zero. You know.
That's true. And that's one thing I mentioned about ability. You know, in order to become a great leader or a real leader, you need to indicate to people or to show to people, portray to people that you're able to do this and this and this. But this is a question that, like, I want just to ask you, and just be frank. Will you compromise just to get, maybe just to network with certain people?
Would that compromise? I would say no. Because every time you compromise, it has a way of getting back to you. Every time you compromise, it has a way of getting back to you. Because again, if you are to compromise, what would you compromise?
Let's say, for example,
character.
Okay, you used character, right?
Again, you know, the very things that you compromise, those are the very tools you need to get to a higher space. Okay, so if you're going to compromise on your first step, that means you have to compromise twice for you to get to a higher level. So by the time you get to the highest of levels, then like it will never be the original you. You'll be in a compromised state. Okay, that means you'll never be able to offer the value, like your real value or your original value. And I don't think anybody would want to work with a compromised figure or a compromised state of a person. Your original being works better.
Who are you, Aisha? Who are you? Because, wow. Who are you? Right. We will come back to that. I must see you behind the tent. You teach me some things about networking. I'm ready to learn about networking. That's one thing, an aspect in my life that I need to understand so much. That brings to my question also about strategic relationships. I know you, Aisha. You know people around school. You know some great people who are running some great things out there. How have you been able to build such strategic relationships? Those relationships that they have added value to you and your ideologies matches.
In terms of finding strategic relationships, it comes again with what's your personal brand. Because the level, let's say we have person A, and then we get a chance for both of us to interact with that person. That, depending on how we're going to interact with them, for me it might work out well. Okay, and it could be a strategic relationship for me. And depending on how you're going to interact with them, it can actually be it can work against you. Okay. So I feel like the first step to forming strategic relationships is knowing yourself. And knowing yourself is knowing, what do I want? Even as I approach this person, what do I want? What is my goal? And people have different aspects or different versions of themselves. Which version of theirs are you willing to interact with? Okay. Which version of theirs are you willing to interact with? Let me give you an example. If you're going to interact with a CEO of a certain company, okay, how are you going to engage with them? How will you sell your personal brand? Because if you go there as this person who does not understand themselves, they will treat you that way. They will never give you an upper hand of getting to maybe in that space you're looking for. Okay. But if you're going to show that you're actually competent to fit into that space, there will be no reason at all that the person will hesitate to bring you there. Again, the reason why I was talking about, remember when we were talking about compromise? Yeah. So, knowing your values, your character, because time and time again, you will be tempted to compromise, whether directly or indirectly. And let me tell you, the person who will tempt you, or the circumstance that you find yourself to compromise, there will be people watching. Okay, and if you compromise, people will use it. If you don't, people will still use it. But which one will favor you? Because if you compromise, people will use it to manipulate you. Actually, it will contribute to your downfall. And you will actually need more effort preserving whatever you've built, or to that space where you've gotten into. But if you never compromise, the person who maybe tempted you or that situation, somebody was watching, and actually not compromising gives you an upper hand of fitting into those spaces.
What you've mentioned brings me back to that book that I've mentioned, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It also talks about the law of solid ground. That's about how you compromise building trust, because leadership is all about trust. And we teach about that. When the trust is not there in any leadership, you're not there. You can't be seen, you can't be heard. So, what is the kind of discipline that ensures you that, or drives you to stick to your values, to stick to your game plan, to stick to your work plan, to stick with your, and all that?
So first of all, I would say your self-accountability. Many people, when we mention accountability, in many people's heads, it will be more of being accountable to somebody else. So that means if nobody is following up on what you're doing, you're constantly at a place of compromise. But if you're accountable to yourself, it's way easier to get a way forward, or how you're going to conduct your things. You do not need a third party or a second party for you to do your things the way they're supposed to. So self-accountability is a discipline that helps me in terms of doing whatever I'm supposed to do at the right time and in the right way. Also in terms of integrity, knowing the system is not always that easy, But if you're in a position of you're accountable to yourself, you're actually working on self-accountability, it's way easier doing things.
Self-accountability. So like you sit down, you assess yourself and all that, I believe. That's what you do. But is there any point in life where you feel overwhelmed with what you do?
Many times, yes.
What do you do?
What do I do?
After that?
Okay. I believe life is all about finding a balance. Finding that point of balance between everything. Because it depends. Like in every moment of your life, you will find that you're at a place where you have to deal with more than one thing. If you're a student, you're also a brother somewhere. You're somebody's son somewhere. Okay. At some point, if you get into the workplace, you'll have a family, you'll have your personal life, you'll have a certain job, maybe you have an extra contract or something. So always finding a balance. And again, it comes back to your circle. You network, basically. I don't think you're just meeting random people. Even as you network with these people, you're also creating an avenue where you can run to for, not usually for help, but at least they can help you back to your feet again, once again. And if there's something you see, maybe it's not going okay. I believe in finding the, like, how does your inner circle looks like? Are there people that you can depend on in terms of helping you? Actually, sometimes you feel overwhelmed, but all you need is one idea. You know, maybe you can do this, you can do it this way. And all of a sudden you're out of it. So there's a whole dynamic into it. First of all, finding your inner circle. Also, you can also create systems for yourself that can assist you. You know.
All right. Thank you so much for that. You've tackled it in a very profound way, that you've developed yourself all around. I would love to have you in another session where we'll be talking about becoming the real person. And very soon, I must make sure I host you back very soon. You talk to us about the becoming, because I feel like in our era, we need to revive the meaning of identity in ourselves. Because you're one type of person who, you say, you can't compromise, you stand by your values, you know, hautapita ile njia nyuma, the backstage, in order to get to the top levels and all that. As we wrap up, this is my favorite question. What's your definition of success and greatness?
What is my definition of success and greatness? It's a good one. So my definition of success, if I'm able to reach out to one more person, make one more difference, make one more step, that's success in life. And greatness, for me, greatness is not about that big name that I have, or I would have, or I would want to have out here. But even with the small things that I do, how great is the impact? If actually my message today was to reach to only one, what's the level of what level of impact did it have on them? Okay, because I don't. Okay, there's a higher chance of my message reaching out to maybe 100, a million people, but it would make me popular or known, but with zero impact on their lives, or nothing to show that this is something that assisted them in this way. That would be nothing to me. You know, it will be greatness in terms of the name, but nothing to show. Okay, but if my message reach out to 10 people and it's more of changing their lives forever, that's a plus one for me. That's real greatness for me. So it's more of the impact that I leave behind rather than how popular I become.
Talking about impact, my last question.
Yes.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Talking generally, I would want to be, like, I see myself in a position whereby I would be able to impact more youths, not only in my local area, but definitely at a larger scale, nationally and globally. And also, apart from that, I would really want to empower other youths, or actually assisting other youths, in the sense that they know themselves, like them understanding themselves and building themselves up in their own capacity, in their own abilities, and assisting them to get into the places that they would yearn to get into. So for me, it's more of making a whole system whereby youth understand themselves on their own, and then they can actually work towards attaining their goals, achieving what they want, and generally making the world a better space.
Thank you so much. There's a favorite quote I had somewhere that we left home to change home.
Yeah.
Aisha Ali is an illustration of a type of a leader who has the conviction of people in her heart. You know, that is a person that you can learn from, you can grow under her, and also like you can network about in the scope of life. I'm actually coming to learn about networking.
Yeah.
I was not thinking actually. I'm serious on that. So Ali, where can we find you in your social platforms and all that?
Okay, so currently my most active social media handle, I guess you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's where I update like everything I do
Yeah, sure.
as soon as I do it. So you can actually find a good way of tracing my footsteps.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also working on my other social media handles like the Instagram
Yeah.
and TikTok, but I'm still working on it. It's not yet in a stable place. Yeah, but professionally
Yeah.
talking, just reach me out to my LinkedIn account. Feel free to find it.
You know, as time goes by, I'm getting more questions. If there's a certain type of lady that is watching you
Yeah.
over there, what will you want?
What would my word be? So step out of your comfort zone and face your fears. Do that thing that you fear most. Do that thing that people told you you can't do. Just go give it a try. As I say, whether you fail or win, it's still a win. And the best is yet to happen.
The best is yet to happen. Yeah. I wish we could have like. Why can't I host you like another? We will see on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, family. It's been a nice session.
Yeah.
This is a session that you can watch again, and listen to it and learn from it. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down there for greater content and great speakers like Aisha Ali that you've planned to bring on board. Actually, you can't miss on that podcast that you're going to be doing on Become.
Yeah.
So subscribe, leave a comment, like, share. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.